Whoa, I didn't know they made summer servants this spicy. Hello everyone, Soberoni of G&A Reviews here, with a servant spotlight for that bad kouhai that Mosh keeps telling you to stay away from, but you're gonna roll for her anyway, Summer BB. We'll be examining her stats and skills, as well as going over pointers on how to utilize her effectively, and an overall grade, comparing her to how she stacks up to the other 5-star servants. Now, onto BB's stats. Summer BB has a max HP of 14,812 and a max attack of 11,182. There's only one other 5-star moon cancer to compare her to currently, but as it stands, Summer BB has a lower HP stat but a higher attack than her. But more importantly, when stacked up against all the other 5-star servants as a whole, BB has a very high HP stat but below average attack. BB's stat spread surprisingly favors defense over offense, which is especially damaging to her attack capabilities due to her class's lack of an extra damage modifier. Taking a look at her skills, BB's first skill is Self-Modification Rank EX. This increases her critical strength for 3 turns between 20 and 50%, and it also increases her crit star gather rate for 3 turns between 400 and 800%, both depending on level. Her second skill is Golden Pig Chalice Rank A. This skill increases her NP gauge between 30 and 50%, it restores between 1000 and 3000 HP, and it also increases her Buster Card effectiveness for 3 turns between 10 and 20%, and her NP strength for 3 turns between 30 and 50%, all depending on level. And additionally, it applies 1 hit of evasion. And finally, her last skill is Faceless Moon Rank EX. This skill locks all the command cards in your hand in place for 3 turns, and also generates between 5 to 10 crit stars every turn for 3 turns, depending on level. As for her passives, BB has Territory Creation Rank A, which increases her Arch Card effectiveness by 10%, The One Who Devours the Earth Rank EX, which applies Burn Immunity, Existence Outside of the Domain Rank B, which generates 2 crit stars per turn and increases her debuff resist by 8%, and Core of the Goddess Rank A, which applies damage plus 250 to all of her attacks and increases her debuff resist by 25%. Moving on to her deck and Noble Phantasm, BB has a Buster Arts deck with Quick Arts Buster Buster and a Buster Noble Phantasm. Her Noble Phantasm is Cursed Cutting Crater. It deals heavy damage to all enemies with between a 300 and 500% damage modifier, depending on level. It also decreases the enemy's NP charge by 1 and has between a 10 to 50% chance of decreasing it again, depending on overcharge. Taking a closer look at her cards, we see that her Quick card hits 4 times, her Arts hits 3 times, her Buster hits 5 times, and her Extra Attack hits 4 times. She has an NP gain rate of 0.61% and a star rate of 14.8%. BB has strong NP gain and star generating due to the high hit counts on all of her cards, as well as her strong passives. As an extra class servant, BB has some strange Ascension material requirements. For her Ascension, she just requires Saber and Berserker pieces and monuments, which both can be farmed in the daily Saber and Berserker training grounds at the 30 AP and 40 AP nodes, respectively. For her skill leveling, BB will need Saber and Berserker skill gems, as well as 5 Black Beast Grease, 5 Chaos Talons, 9 Wines, and 9 Hearts per skill. Grease can be farmed at the Northern Cliffs in Agartha with a 20% drop rate. Talons also have a 20% drop rate at Des Moines in America. Wine is found at the Palace of the Dragon King in Agartha with a 12% drop rate. And finally, Hearts also have a 12% drop rate at the Carter Residence in Salem. First John Alter and now BB. Holy hell, this is one steamy summer, and we haven't even gotten to the hottest one yet. Bodacious body aside, BB is a very unique servant that brings a lot to the table. Despite her low attack, BB's overall stats are quite strong, with a fantastic HP pool and excellent star generating and NP gain that is further bolstered by 2 powerful passives in Territory Creation and Existence Outside the Domain. And that's a good thing, because BB's kit revolves heavily around crits and NPing. Right off the bat, her first skill, Self-Modification, is a crit super steroid. The 50% buff to crit damage that it gives is great, as it gives a lot more weight to BB's crits and can make up for the lack of base attack and class advantage that she suffers from. The skill also buffs BB's star weight, which is pretty low on its own, so critting with her is actually very easy and consistent while self-modification is active, which thankfully will be for most of the battle as the cooldown is nice and low. But crits aren't BB's only source of damage. Her second skill, Golden Pig Chalice, grants her quick and easy access to her Noble Phantasm thanks to the massive 50% NP charge that it gives. A 50% NP battery is one of the best skills that a servant can have because it allows them to Noble Phantasm immediately while also equipping powerful CEs. But this skill offers far more than just that. It also buffs BB's NP strength and buster card effectiveness significantly. The buff to NP strength in particular is massive, but together they give BB's NP a whopping 80% boost to damage. It's also worth keeping in mind that these buffs last 3 turns, which is important because despite being a buster servant, BB has tremendous NP gain, so with the right setup she can easily Noble Phantasm 2 times in 3 turns to get maximum advantage from the buffs. But wait, there's more. Golden Pig Chalice also helps defensively by healing BB for a decent amount and giving her a 1-hit evade. Unfortunately, because the evade is only 1 hit and the cooldown on this skill is so long, it isn't the best defensive option in the world, and it's actually pretty unreliable since you'll almost always want to use this skill offensively. Golden Pig Chalice is an absurdly loaded and OP skill, but believe it or not, I saved BB's most interesting skill for last, her third skill, Faceless Moon. This skill actually freezes all of the command cards in place for 3 turns. So whatever cards appear in your turn when you activate this skill are going to stay locked there for the next 3 turns, so you can choose them over and over again. And this is a one-of-a-kind skill that no other servant or mystic code in the game can replicate. And because of that, it gives BB a wholly unique playstyle. Naturally, the strategic implications of this skill are absolutely limitless. You can freeze Archer Jean's arts cards in place to guarantee NP spam, you can lock Jack's triple quick cards in place and rack up hundreds of crit stars, or even lock Kentoki's buster cards in place and get 3 straight turns of buster chains. There are just too many applications and strategies that this skill opens up, far too many for me to cover in one video. But even beyond locking cards, this skill also acts as a 20-30, generating 10 crit stars per turn, which makes it ideal for supporting crit servants, including BB herself, as she can lock her own best cards in place and then just juice herself up with crit stars. For skill priority, I recommend leveling Golden Pig Chalice first, mostly due to the NP charge, followed by self-modification for better DPS, and then Faceless Moon last, as while it is BB's signature skill, the scaling isn't as great and it is a bit situational. BB's Noble Phantasm is an AoE buster attack that lowers enemy NP charge by up to 2. The fact that it's AoE combos very well with BB's NP charge because it clears the way for making her an effective farmer. But keep in mind that the damage is weak since BB lacks class advantage against nearly every enemy. On the other hand, lowering enemy NP charge is a good effect and it can come in handy for some boss fights and challenge quests, so it does give BB some good utility. It's hard to know where to begin with BB because her gameplay is just so unique. But first and foremost, her greatest strength is as a crit DPS. Self-modification is a ridiculously strong skill with a criminally low cooldown. And because BB is such a strong star generator on her own, she can easily fuel her own crits, and doesn't even need much support. As I mentioned earlier, one of the best ways of using BB as a DPS is to lock her buster cards in place with Faceless Moon and then activate self-modification. And then you can just wail away at enemies. She'll do a very good chunk of damage. The ability to card lock and star absorb also makes BB a tremendously consistent crit servant. BB can also be a very effective farmer thanks to her 50% NP battery and high NP gain. She can easily Noble Phantasm multiple times in a battle if needed. But of course, Faceless Moon accounts for most of BB's utility, and this skill alone makes her one of the most versatile servants around, as she can be used to support really any kind of crit team or strategy that involves face cards. Where BB runs into a wall though is her pitiful attack and class. As a Moon Cancer with low attack, her damage is almost non-existent without crits. And even then, other crit servants that do have class advantage will far out DPS her. And even with her amazing buffs from Golden Pig Chalice, her NP damage is barely strong enough to farm with, and it doesn't hold up well against mid-tier enemy waves. Aside from that though, her only hard defensive option is a one-hit evasion that's tied to her damage steroid, so it's a bit off-putting because it leaves her nearly defenseless in most cases. And while card locking is a very fun and unique skill, it is far from efficient, and it heavily relies on the RNG of getting good cards. So if efficient meta farming is what you're looking for, you won't be too satisfied with BB's gimmick. That said though, as I mentioned before, BB has insane synergy with a wide variety of servants, which makes team comps very versatile. You can either use BB as a crit DPS or a crit support. If DPS is what you're looking for, then I recommend pairing her with servants who can buff her crit damage or attack strength like Brynhilda, Liz, or Caesar. Bryn is one of the best crit supports around thanks to her ability to not only supercharge BB's crit damage, but also make her star weight even better. If you alternate Bryn's skill with self-modification, then BB will have 100% uptime on her crit buffs. If you lack Bryn, then Caesar is a good free-to-play substitute, as he can also give her 100% uptime on her crit buff, as well as other damage buffs. And finally, Liz, while not offering many crits, does offer very strong attack buffs and debuffs that can really enhance BB's overall damage. If you'd rather use BB as a support, then she can make an excellent star generator, especially for servants who rely on access to some specific cards for critting, like Saberlot, Jean Alter, or Kuro. Saberlot and Kuro depend a lot on their arch crits in order to NP spam, so if you're able to freeze their arch cards in place with Faceless Moon and supply them with passive star generating, they are going to have a field day. Jalter, on the other hand, can output disgusting raw damage from Buster crits, so if you're able to lock down her Buster cards, she can do insane amounts of damage. BB's Bondcraft Essence is last resort of the Abyss. It buffs the Arch card and Buster card effectiveness of all allies by 10%. This can be useful if you're supporting, but generally speaking, BB is better off with CEs that can passively generate stars like 2030, His Rightful Place, or Maiden Leading Chaldea. With these, she can provide upwards of 15 stars per turn without even needing access to her cards. If you'd rather have BB doing the damage though, then I recommend CEs that bolster crit and buster damage and preferably give starting NP charge like Holy Night Supper, Victor from the Moon, Aerial Drive, and a Tale of Love and Hope, which a few of you may have become familiar with from the Scotty banner. In the future, I recommend using Witchcraft. It's a good Buster DPS craft essence if you can get it. It buffs Buster card effectiveness, crit damage, and NP gain, all things that BB loves. Overall, Summer BB is truly a one-of-a-kind servant that has immense versatility. Her self-modification skill combined with Faceless Moon sets her up to be an incredibly strong and consistent crit DPS. She can be good for farming tedious content thanks to her huge NP battery and her great NP gain. And she works very well as a crit support on top of being highly self-sufficient. And to top it all off, Faceless Moon opens up a whole new world of strategies and gimmicks for a wide variety of servants. BB isn't without her faults though. Her lack of good defensive options and long cooldowns does mean that she's going to struggle in harder battles. Her unique gameplay also makes her less efficient and more of an off-meta choice for some content. But worst of all, her damage is just pathetic due to her class and low attack. Nonetheless, she does offer a lot of variety that you just can't find anywhere else, so she gets an A from me. That may be a somewhat controversial opinion since I did say she has a lot of weaknesses. But in my opinion, a servant isn't just defined by how many weaknesses they have, they're defined by how much power, utility, and strength they can bring to the team and how irreplaceable they are. And suffice it to say, Summer BB excels at way more things than she fails at. And those are my thoughts on Summer BB. I know a ton of people are going to be rolling for her, so good luck to everyone. And can I just say she is so much fun to play with. Seriously, Buntoria with her new buff and Summer BB are peak degeneracy in FGO. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, I have spotlights out for Jean Archer, Summer Jolter, and Scotty, all out right now. They'll be linked on screen and in the description down below, so check them out if you haven't already. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and consider subscribing if you really enjoyed the video. Join the party over at our Discord, chill with us on Twitch, and follow us on Twitter. And I'll see you all in the next Servant Spotlight. Soberoni out. Later.